I stood at the front of classroom 7B, holding a tablet with today's lecture on Earth history. Outside the window, the red dust of Novus 4 swirled endlessly, a constant reminder of the desert planet humanity had colonized after Earth's climate collapse. It was autumn 2085, though on Novus 4, autumn only meant stronger dust storms. My students, 15 teenagers from Terra Nova, our mining town, sat at their desks, listlessly scrolling through their tablets. Lisa Martinez, the most outspoken in class, raised her hand. "Mr. Brown, why do we study Earth? It doesn't even exist anymore." I smiled, though something tightened inside me. She was right. Earth was just a legend in bow, and we lived in a colony where mines and factories mattered more than dreams. "Earth shaped who we are, Lisa," I replied, adjusting my glasses. "We may live on Novus 4 now, but understanding our past helps us build our future." She rolled her eyes, but I caught the hint of a smile. Lisa was brilliant, too smart for this mining colony, with dreams of becoming a pilot. Her younger brother Jacob sat in the back row, quietly sketching superheroes in his notebook. His health was fragile, lungs weakened by Novus 4's dust storms. I'd been watching these two closely for months. Their parents worked double shifts in the Deep Six mine, leaving Lisa as her brother's primary caretaker. The colony doctors had given Jacob another 6 months before his lungs failed completely. Standard procedure was to process out children with chronic conditions, a euphemism everyone understood but no one discussed. I continued my lecture, showing holographic images of Earth's great cities before the collapse. Most of these kids had never seen a real tree or ocean, just the red dust and terraformed farms of our colony. "Remember," I concluded, "next week's assignment is on the cultural diaspora after the Great Migration. Read chapters 12 through 15. The bell rang and students filed out. I noticed Lisa struggling to help Jacob with his breathing mask, the filter clogged with red dust. I approached, offering a replacement filter from my desk drawer. "Thanks, Mr. Brown," she said, expertly switching the filters. "The colony ration only gives us 2 per month. They say it's supply chain issues." "Keep this between us," I whispered, slipping her 3 more. "I have connections at the medical depot." Her eyes widened slightly, but she nodded, tucking them into her bag. These small acts of rebellion had become my personal mission since losing Clara 3 years ago to dust sickness. The colony had deemed her treatment non-essential personnel expenditure. I watched them leave, then turned to my desk, organizing materials for my next class. My tablet pinged with an official notification: mandatory biometric screening for all education staff next week. Another layer of surveillance in a colony already drowning on it. Since the last mining protest, the United Colonial Authority had tightened control under the guise of security measures. Teachers were particularly scrutinized, our lessons monitored for appropriate content that supported colonial values. Clara would have hated what the colony had become. She'd been a biologist, part of the original terraforming team. "We're building a new world," she'd often said, "not just surviving on this one." But as mineral deposits proved richer than expected, the UCA's priorities shifted from sustainable colony development to resource extraction. Clara's terraforming projects lost funding, then her position, then her health benefits. The dust disease that killed her was preventable with proper medication. Medication the colony reserved for essential personnel. Principal Voss appeared at my door, her face grim. "Emergency staff meeting. Harry, now." In the teacher's lounge, screens showed a government broadcast. The United Colonial Authority logo, an eagle clutching a planet, filled the display before cutting to a stern-faced spokeswoman. "The UCA has implemented Phase 1 of the Progress Initiative across all outer colonies. This program will identify gifted children aged 10 to 16 for specialized training to secure our future against insurgent threats. Cooperation is mandatory. The future of humanity depends on our children." The broadcast ended, but the chill in the room remained. "What does this mean?" asked Tara Chen, our mathematics teacher. Principal Voss sighed. "Government representatives arrive tomorrow to begin testing. They're taking selected children to orbital facilities." "Taking them?" I echoed. "For how long?" "The notice doesn't specify," Voss replied, avoiding my eyes. The staff erupted in questions. Voss raised her hands, looking older than her 50 years. I've requested clarification, but this comes directly from central authority. We're to prepare the students and provide full cooperation. And if parents object, I asked. Voss's expression was answer enough. After the meeting, she caught my arm in the hallway. Be careful, Harry, she whispered. They're watching the dissenters closely. Your file already has flags from the curriculum review. Flags for teaching actual history instead of propaganda? She glanced nervously at the corridor cameras. Just don't make yourself a target. That evening, I sat in my cramped apartment, staring at my tablet. I navigated through government channels where the Progress Initiative was praised as salvation from insurgent attacks on our minds and infrastructure. But when I switched to my encrypted connection, a gift from a university friend now working in government, the underground networks told different stories. Children sent to orbital stations, forced into combat simulations, the weak processed out. No one knew what that meant, but no one had seen those children again. I poured another whiskey, the bottle nearly empty. Clara's photo watched me from the shelf, her eyes kind, her smile forever frozen. What would you do? I whispered to her ghost. I accessed restricted databases through channels my friend had provided. The Progress Initiative wasn't new. It had been implemented on 3 other colonies. Population statistics showed decreased numbers of children within 6 months. Official reports cited relocation for specialized education. When I cross-referenced with medical records, a pattern emerged. Children with health issues disappeared first, followed by those with behavioral markers indicating independence or resistance to authority. Jacob and Lisa Martinez both fit these profiles. The timing wasn't coincidental. The dust season would reach its peak next month, when Jacob's condition would become critical enough to justify processing. Deeper in the classified files, I found fragmentary reports from medical staff questioning the ethics of the program. One doctor noted, subject compliance achieved through graduated neurological modification. Another documented permanent cognitive alteration in 62% of subjects. These reports were all marked archived with notation of the reporting physician's reassignment to frontier medical duties. A euphemism if I'd ever heard one. Most disturbing was the training regimen. Simulated combat against insurgent threats represented by holographic figures clearly modeled after Nova Aqua colonists. The program wasn't defending against existing insurgents. It was preparing for a planned conflict. My head throbbed with fear and whiskey. I'd been a model citizen my entire life, from Earth to the evacuation ships to Novus 4. I'd believed in the system, taught my students to trust authority. But Clara's death had cracked that faith, and what I was seeing now shattered it completely. At 5 a.m., I made my decision. I would not let them take my students. The next day, soldiers in gray body armor with Progress emblazoned across their chests entered our school. Their leader, Commander Elena Wright, addressed the assembled students and teachers in the gymnasium. Her steel gray eyes surveyed us like specimens. The Progress Initiative represents humanity's best hope, she announced. Selected children will receive advanced training to protect our colonies from insurgent threats. I studied Wright's face, disciplined, composed, but with something else beneath the surface. When she mentioned the greater good, her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. A tell I recognized from my poker nights with mining engineers. Someone believing the words they spoke while doubting them simultaneously. As she continued her speech, I noticed the tech array her soldiers carried. Advanced biometric scanners disguised as standard tablets, reading heart rates, stress levels, and respiratory patterns. They weren't just looking for the brightest children. They were identifying the most compliant ones, those who could be molded without resistance. I recognized the technology from Clara's research days. Neural response monitors developed originally for detecting stress in early colonists, now repurposed to identify psychological malleability in children. The perfect subjects for their conditioning. Parents had gathered outside, voices rising in protest. 3 children from the neighboring class were already being escorted to transport vehicles. Through the window, I saw a mother collapse as her son was loaded into a sleek gray shuttle. 2 soldiers restrained her while her child watched, face pressed against the window. A father broke through the security line, reaching for his daughter. A soldier activated an immobilizer rod, standard riot control equipment, and the man fell, body convulsing. His daughter screamed, but the shuttle doors sealed with pneumatic finality. I watched Lisa's face harden as she gripped Jacob's hand tighter. Her eyes met mine, questioning, frightened. I gave her an almost imperceptible nod. After dismissal, I intercepted Lisa and Jacob in the hallway. "Meet me in the library after final bell," I whispered. "Bring Emma, Trey, Sophia, Adam, and Mia." "What's happening, Mr. Brown?" Lisa asked. "Trust me," I replied. "Tell no one else." "Why these 7 children?" Each had something the UCA would target. Jacob's illness, Lisa's independence, Emma's engineering aptitude, Trey's hacking skills, Sophia's pattern recognition, Adam's physical strength despite his stutter, and Mia's medical knowledge. All children the Progress Initiative would covet for different reasons, all marked in the system I'd accessed. I spent the day teaching as if nothing had changed, though my heart raced every time a soldier passed my classroom. I noticed them studying particular students, making notes on their tablets. During lunch, Commander Wright herself observed our cafeteria, her gaze lingering on Lisa as she helped Jacob with his breathing treatment. After classes, I erased all digital traces of my plan from school systems. I transferred emergency credits to an anonymous account and deleted my browser history. As a final precaution, I recorded a message to the parents of my chosen 7, explaining my actions without revealing our destination, and scheduled it for delayed delivery. In the library, I closed the blinds and checked for surveillance drones. 7 frightened faces looked up at me. "You're in danger," I said quietly. "The Progress Initiative isn't what they claim. Children taken for testing aren't coming back." Lisa's eyes widened. "I knew the government was lying, but where can we go?" I showed them a map on my tablet, an abandoned school building in the canyon, 20 miles from Terra Nova, deserted after a mine collapse 10 years ago. The facility had been built early in the colonization when officials believed the canyons would yield valuable minerals. When those prospects dried up, the school was abandoned, forgotten in budget cuts and administrative turnover. "We'll be safe there," I promised, though I wasn't certain. "The facility is off most maps now, and the mining accident that closed it created a natural barrier that keeps casual explorers away." "My parents," began Sophia. "Can't know," I interrupted, "for their safety and yours. The government monitors communications. They'll question your families, but they can't reveal what they don't know." "How long will we stay there?" Adam asked, his stutter more pronounced with anxiety. "Until I can find a more permanent solution," I replied, not knowing what that might be. Trey, our technology prodigy, asked the practical question. "What about trackers? We all have colony IDs." He touched the small implant beneath his ear, standard for all colonists, ostensibly for medical monitoring. "I've thought of that," I said, producing a small device from my pocket. "This is an electromagnetic pulse generator, targeted to disable the specific frequency of colony trackers." "Where did you get that?" Lisa asked, wide-eyed. "Clara's old research equipment. It was designed to reset malfunctioning terraforming sensors. It won't harm you, but it will make you invisible to colony tracking systems." One by one, I deactivated their trackers, saving my own for last. The momentary dizziness was worth the security it provided. Lisa stood up, her decision made. "When do we leave?" "Tonight," I replied. "Pack essentials only. 1 bag each. Meet behind the maintenance shed at midnight." I spent the afternoon making final preparations. I transferred my savings to an anonymous account, deleted personal files from the school system, and packed survival supplies. As dusk fell, I made one last stop, Ray Cunningham's workshop on the colony edge. Ray greeted me with surprise. A former mining engineer before an accident left his hands scarred and his lungs damaged. He now repaired equipment and ran a small black market operation for hard-to-get items. "Harry, what brings you to this part of town?" "I need transport," I said. "No questions asked." Ray studied my face. "This about the progress thing? Half my customers are talking about hiding their kids. Can you help or not?" He gestured to his cargo truck. "Where and when?" "Maintenance shed behind the school. Midnight." He rubbed his scarred chin. "That's during curfew. UCA patrols will be out. We'll pay what it costs. It's not about money, Harry." He lowered his voice. "It's about my sister and her kids. UCA keeps tabs on them since my accident. Says they're providing special health care as a courtesy. I understood immediately. They're leveraging your family. Everyone has a pressure point. His eyes found mine. What's yours? Those kids, I said without hesitation. He nodded slowly. I'll be there. But Harry, be careful who you trust, even me. The hours until midnight crawled by. I packed methodically, choosing practical items, water purifiers, medical supplies, educational materials, and communication equipment, anything that would help us survive in isolation. I deleted my personal files and sent farewell messages to the few friends I still trusted, scheduled to deliver after we'd gone. As a final precaution, I planted false information in my personal records, a fabricated interest in visiting the northern settlements, an application for transfer to the agricultural sector. Small deceptions that might misdirect any pursuit. Just before leaving, I took one last look at Clara's photo. I'm doing what you would have done, I whispered, then carefully placed the picture in my bag. The night was cold, the twin moons of Novus 4 casting eerie blue light across the landscape. I waited behind the maintenance shed with Ray, his cargo truck idling quietly. You're playing a dangerous game, Harry, Ray muttered, checking his scanner for drones. If they catch us, it's not just detention. People disappear for less. I know what I'm doing, I replied, though my racing heart suggested otherwise. One by one, shadows materialized, children carrying small backpacks, faces pale with fear and excitement. Lisa arrived last, supporting Jacob, whose breathing sounded labored. Everyone in the back, Ray ordered. Under the tarp, not a sound. The children climbed into the cargo bed and huddled beneath the heavy canvas. I joined Ray in the cab, my hand resting on the stunner concealed in my jacket. Checkpoint ahead, Ray warned as we approached the colony perimeter. 2 guards stepped forward, light bars illuminating our vehicle. Cargo manifest? One asked, peering at Ray. Ray handed over his tablet. Mining equipment for Outpost 7. The guard scrolled through the documents while his partner circled the truck. I held my breath as the guard's boots crunched near the tarp. What's under there? He called. Sensitive equipment, Ray replied. Dust-sensitive calibration tools. The guard reached for the tarp's edge. I tensed, ready to use the stunner. Then his comm unit buzzed. All units respond. Disturbance at the eastern gate. He hesitated, then released the tarp. You're cleared. Move along. As we drove away, Ray exhaled. That was too close. What happened at the eastern gate? A smile cracked his weathered face. Nothing. I paid some miners to create a distraction. The canyon road was treacherous, unpaved, and winding through red rock formations. I checked on the children during a brief stop, finding Jacob's coughing worse in the dust. Mr. Brown, he wheezed, are we coming back home? I forced a smile. Of course, kiddo. But privately, I wondered if I was leading these children into a trap. What gave me the right to make this decision for them? I was a history teacher, not a revolutionary. The abandoned school loomed ahead, a 3-story concrete structure partially reclaimed by dust and wind. Windows gaped like hollow eyes. In the sign reading, Novus 4 Mining Corporation Educational Facility Number 3 hung askew. Home sweet home, Ray muttered, killing the engine. We unloaded supplies, water purifiers, food rations, medical kits, embedding that Ray had procured from mining storage. The children explored cautiously, their flashlights cutting through darkness. This place is creepy, Emma whispered. It's safe, Lisa countered, already taking charge. Emma and Sophia, check the water systems. Trey and Adam, secure the doors. Mia, help me set up the medical station for Jacob. I watched with pride as they organized themselves, but fear gnawed at me. Government drones would be searching by morning. We'd disabled our trackers, but it wouldn't take them long to connect the missing children with the missing teacher. That night, as the children slept in what had once been the school cafeteria, I stood on the roof watching distant lights from Terra Nova. Ray joined me, offering a flask. They'll find us eventually, he said. We just need time, I replied. Time to figure out the next step. Ray's face was unreadable in the moonlight. There are rumors of insurgents in the outer canyons. People fighting against the UCA. Insurgents? You mean the terrorists the government keeps warning about? Ray laughed bitterly. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. They say some of them are parents of children taken by progress. Do you have contacts with them? I asked carefully. Ray hesitated. I know people who know people, but Harry, you need to understand something. I have family still in Terra Nova. My sister, her kids. The UCA keeps tabs on them. The implication was clear. Ray's help came with limits. His family remained hostages to his good behavior. They don't just threaten them, Ray continued, voice low. My nephew was selected last year. They let him come home once a month, heavily supervised. Each time, he's different, less himself, eyes empty. He took a long drink. My sister says he wakes up screaming about simulators and test chambers. Whatever they're doing up there, he trailed off. That's why I'm doing this, I said, to prevent that happening to these children. Ray nodded grimly. Just remember, the UCA plays a long game. They'll use anyone, anything, to maintain control. The drone's hum was almost imperceptible at first, a faint vibration in the air. We ducked below the roofline as its searchlight swept the canyon. They're already looking, I whispered. Ray nodded grimly. Get some sleep, Harry. Tomorrow will be harder. Days in the abandoned school fell into a routine. Mornings began with Lisa organizing water rations while I taught classes in the basement, continuing their education as if normalcy could be maintained. Afternoons were spent reinforcing our hideout, boarding windows, establishing lookout rotations, and planning escape routes. I tried to make lessons relevant to our situation, teaching Earth history as cautionary tales, how resource wars led to environmental collapse, how power concentrated in fewer hands as crises mounted, how ordinary people found ways to resist. The children absorbed these lessons with new understanding, connecting past struggles to our present circumstances. It's just like the water riots before the Earth evacuation, Sophia noted during one lesson. The government controlled resources instead of sharing them. History repeats because people don't learn from it, Lisa added. The UCA is making the same mistakes. I was impressed by their insight. Those who control resources control people, I explained. On Earth, it was fresh water and arable land. Here on Novus 4, it's water again, plus mining rights and protective equipment against the dust. So Nova Aqua controls the water, and we control the minerals, Trey reasoned. Why can't they just trade fairly? Because power isn't just about resources, I explained. It's about keeping people dependent on authority. If colonies became self-sufficient through cooperation, what would they need the UCA for? As days passed, the children began transforming the abandoned school. Trey and Adam rigged an early warning system using salvaged mining sensors. Emma and Sophia restored the water recycling system, giving us clean water. Mia organized our medical supplies and created natural remedies from desert plants she identified in an old botany database. Lisa surprised me most. She'd accessed the school's old computer core and restored partial functionality, creating a communication relay that could passively monitor UCA transmissions without revealing our location. It's a one-way system, she explained. We can listen, but they can't trace us. Where did you learn this? I asked, impressed. She shrugged. My dad worked communications before they transferred him to mining. He taught me stuff. Through this system, we learned that the UCA had declared us persons of interest with a substantial reward for information. My image appeared on colony news feeds with accusations of child endangerment and insurgent collaboration. The children were portrayed as victims of my manipulation, their families interviewed under obvious duress, pleading for their safe return. They're lying, Lisa said, watching her mother's tearful appeal. Mom would never work with them willingly. They're using your families to flush us out, I explained gently. It's a standard tactic. Jacob's health deteriorated. The dust aggravated his lungs, and our medical supplies were limited. Each night I heard his coughing echo through the empty halls. He needs proper treatment, Lisa confronted me on our 5th day. The medicine isn't working. I ran a hand through my unwashed hair. Ray is bringing more supplies tonight. And if that's not enough? Her eyes held mine, demanding honesty. I had no answer. Ray arrived weekly, bringing news along with supplies. Terra Nova was under increased security, curfews enforced, parents questioned about their missing children, rewards offered for information. They're searching every abandoned building within 50 miles, Ray reported. It's only a matter of time. On his third visit, Ray brought a worn medical device, a lung filtration system. For the boy, he said gruffly, military surplus, the kind they use in deep mining operations. How did you get this? I asked, knowing such equipment was restricted. Better you don't know. He demonstrated how to attach it to Jacob's breathing mask. It's not a permanent fix, but it'll buy time. The device helped. Jacob's coughing subsided and color returned to his face. He began exploring the school with the others, creating detailed maps of every room and passage. During Ray's fourth visit, I noticed a change in his behavior, nervous glances, checking his communicator too frequently, vague answers about colony security patterns. What's wrong? I asked directly. Nothing, he said quickly, just on edge. The UCA questioned my sister again yesterday. I wanted to believe him, but doubt had taken root. I shared my concerns with Lisa that night, after the others were asleep. I've noticed too, she said, and look at this. She showed me her tablet, displaying a communication she'd intercepted. UCA patrol routes have changed. They're focusing on sectors near us, almost like they have a general location but not specifics. You think Ray is compromised? She hesitated. I don't think he'd betray us willingly, but everyone has pressure points, I finished. We decided to accelerate our backup plans. Lisa and Trey worked day and night to clear more of the mining tunnel. I prepared grab bags with emergency supplies, hidden throughout the school for quick evacuation. On the 10th day, Lisa approached me with her tablet. Mr. Brown, I hacked into their communication channel, she said, eyes bright with accomplishment and fear. How did you manage that? I asked, impressed. She shrugged. The school slates use UCA networks. I figured out how to piggyback on their encryption. Trey helped with the cipher-breaking algorithm. The intercepted transmission revealed the truth. The Progress Initiative wasn't training children to fight insurgents. The UCA was preparing for war with Nova Aqua, the neighboring colony that controlled Novus 4's water resources. Children were being conditioned in simulators to fight without fear or hesitation, their minds reshaped through psychological conditioning. Most couldn't withstand the process. They're turning kids into weapons, Lisa whispered. Why children? Adam asked, his stutter worsening with stress. Why not adults? Neuroplasticity, Mia answered, her medical training evident. Children's brains adapt faster. Adults have fixed neural pathways. I felt sick. They're using children because they're easier to reshape. Lisa scrolled through more intercepted data. There's something else. They're specifically targeting children from mining families. Why, Sophia asked. Because miners are used to following orders without question, I realized. Their children are raised in that culture. And because mining families have fewer resources to resist. There was more. Technical specifications for neural conditioning technology, psychological evaluation metrics for subject compliance, and most disturbing, mortality rates from the program's first phase. Almost 40% of children didn't survive the conditioning process. Their deaths classified as training accidents or pre-existing medical complications. Jacob would have been among them. His lung condition would have made him an early casualty, written off as an unfortunate but acceptable loss in service to humanity's future. The transmissions also contain maps, detailed plans of Nova Aqua's water processing facilities with structural weaknesses highlighted, target lists of key personnel, estimated civilian casualties described as acceptable collateral. The UCA wasn't responding to Nova Aqua aggression. It was planning a first strike to seize control of the water resources. We need to warn them, Lisa said. Nova Aqua should know what's coming. How? We can receive communications but not send them, I reminded her. Actually, Trey spoke up from the corner where he'd been working. I might have something. He showed us a modified communications module. It's not powerful enough to reach Nova Aqua directly, but if there are intermediaries, like these insurgents Ray mentioned, they might relay the message. That night, I found Ray outside, speaking quietly into his communicator. He jumped when I approached. Who were you talking to? I asked. Just checking on my family, he said too quickly. The UCA has been questioning everyone with connections to you. I studied his face, noting the averted eyes, the nervous twitch of his scarred hands. Are we still safe, Ray? For now, he replied, but wouldn't meet my gaze. Doubt crept in. Ray had been my friend for years, but he had a family to protect. The UCA was known for leveraging weaknesses, threatening loved ones to secure cooperation. I shared my concerns with Lisa, who had become my lieutenant in this desperate venture. "We need a backup plan," she said, her young face set with determination no 15-year-old should have to show. "There's an old mining tunnel beneath the school. I've been exploring it with Trey. It might lead to the outer canyons, where the insurgents are rumored to be," I finished. She nodded. "If they exist, they might help us." "Show me," I said. She led me to the school's basement boiler room, where a maintenance hatch revealed a narrow passage. The air was stale but breathable, the walls reinforced with ancient support beams. "How far have you explored?" I asked. "About half a mile," she replied. "There's a fork ahead, then a section that's partially collapsed. Trey thinks we can clear it." I squeezed her shoulder. "Good work. Keep this between us for now." We spent the next days secretly preparing the tunnel, clearing debris and marking the route. Lisa created crude maps, and Trey rigged emergency lights using power cells salvaged from the school's backup systems. I found myself relying on Lisa more each day. She organized the children, maintained discipline, and invented games to keep spirits high. At night, she read comics to Jacob from dog-eared books Ray had smuggled in, her voice steady even as her brother's breathing grew more labored. Despite the filtration system, Jacob's condition worsened. The dust permeated everything, finding its way through sealed windows and doors. The recycled air in the school lacked the purification systems of proper colony buildings. 2 weeks into our hiding, Jacob collapsed during breakfast. His lips turned blue as he struggled for air. "Do something!" Lisa screamed, holding her brother. I administered emergency oxygen from our dwindling medical supplies. Jacob stabilized, but barely. "We need to get him proper medical care," I told Lisa privately. "They'll take him if we go back," she argued, tears streaming down her face. "He might die if we don't." The impossible choice hung between us. Before we could decide, the perimeter alarm Trey had rigged sounded, a soft, insistent beeping. "Patrol vehicles," Trey reported, rushing in from lookout duty. 3 of them, coming up the canyon road. I looked at Jacob, pale and unconscious on his makeshift bed, then at the frightened faces of the other children. "Get everything into the tunnel," I ordered. "Now." The patrol vehicles surrounded the school as we hurried the last supplies into the mining tunnel. I stood at the hidden entrance behind a collapsed section of basement wall, counting children as they passed. 5 minutes, I told Lisa, who waited with Jacob in her arms. "Then seal the tunnel entrance, no matter what." I climbed to the second floor for a final check, ensuring we'd left no obvious evidence. Through a broken window, I spotted Ray emerging from one of the patrol vehicles, speaking with a UCA officer. My blood ran cold. Ray gestured toward the school, pointing out entry points. There was no mistaking his actions. He was guiding them. I raced back to the basement. "They're here. Ray sold us out." Lisa's eyes widened. "The tunnel! Go now!" We descended into darkness, the tunnel's low ceiling forcing us to crouch. The children moved ahead with portable lights Jacob carried between Trey and Adam. The sound of boots above grew louder as UCA forces entered the school. The tunnel narrowed, its walls rough and supporting beams rotted with age. Centuries-old mining equipment lay abandoned, creating obstacles we navigated by touch more than sight. "There's a fork ahead," Lisa called back. I consulted the crude map Ray had provided weeks earlier, the map that had led us into this trap. Left path, I decided, praying it wasn't another betrayal. The tunnel suddenly ended in a rockfall, massive boulders blocking our escape. "We're trapped," Sophia whimpered. I examined the collapse while Lisa calmed the younger children. The rockfall was recent, perhaps triggered by our movement or simply years of neglect. "There," Lisa pointed, spotting a narrow ventilation shaft above the collapse. "It might lead to the surface." The shaft was barely wide enough for the children. Jacob went first, pushed upward by Trey and Adam. One by one, the children squeezed through. "Your turn," I told Lisa, as flashlight beams appeared in the tunnel behind us. "Not without you," she insisted. "I'll hold them off. Give you time to get away." I pressed Ray's communicator into her hand. "The frequency is preset to an emergency channel. If the insurgents exist, they might be monitoring it." "Mr. Brown." Go, Lisa. Take care of them. Tears streaked the dust on her face as she climbed into the shaft. I sealed it with debris, then turned to face our pursuers, raised stunner in my hand. Commander Elena Wright entered the tunnel alone, her uniform immaculate despite the dust, her weapon holstered. "Harry Brown," she said, as if greeting a colleague. "You've led us on quite a chase." I kept the stunner aimed at her chest. "Stay back." "The children can't survive out there," she said reasonably. "Jacob Martinez needs medical attention. We have doctors, facilities. In conditioning chambers? Simulation pods? Do you tell parents what happens to the children who fail your tests?" Something flickered in her eyes, doubt perhaps, or regret. "The Progress Initiative ensures humanity's survival. By sacrificing children? By preparing them for the reality of our situation." She took a step closer. "The water wars are coming, Harry. Nova Aqua has been stockpiling weapons. Without control of the water, Terra Nova dies. So you turn children into soldiers. I was a teacher once, like you," she said quietly. "On Earth, before the collapse. I taught literature to teenagers who would never see adulthood because we failed to prepare. I watched my students die when the food riots began." Her voice hardened. "I won't watch another generation perish because we were too soft to make difficult choices." Her words struck deeper than I expected. We shared the same fear, children dying, but had chosen opposite responses. "There has to be another way," I insisted. "There isn't." She extended her hand. "Come back with me. Help me improve the program, make it more humane. Your students respect you. With your guidance, they could become leaders, not just soldiers." For a moment, I hesitated. Could I do more good from within? Shape the program? Protect the children? A distant rumble shook dust from the tunnel ceiling. Not a collapse, but an explosion on the surface. The distraction was all I needed. I fired the Steiner at the tunnel supports behind Wright, bringing down a shower of rock and soil between us. "Run, Harry," she called through the dust cloud. "But remember, we'll find them eventually." I escaped through an emergency exit Ray had shown me weeks earlier, emerging into the red twilight of Novus 4. In the distance, smoke rose from the school building. The insurgents had made their move, attacking the UCA patrol. I ran toward the outer canyons, praying Lisa had found help for the others. The outer canyons stretched before me, a labyrinth of red rock and shadow. I had no water, no supplies, and UCA drones would be scanning for my heat signature. Each step sent pain through my injured leg, a souvenir from the tunnel collapse. Night fell quickly on Novus 4, temperature plummeting as the twin moons rose. I huddled in a narrow crevice, shivering, wondering if the children had found shelter. Had Lisa's call been answered? Was Jacob still alive? A sound broke the silence, the soft crunch of boots on gravel. I pressed deeper into my hiding place, breath held. "Harry Brown," a woman's voice unfamiliar. "We're not UCA. Lisa sent us." I remained silent, distrustful after Ray's betrayal. "Jacob needs medicine," she continued. "We have it, but we need to move quickly." I emerged cautiously. 3 figures stood in the moonlight, faces concealed by dust masks and goggles, weapons slung across their backs. One carried a medical case with a symbol I didn't recognize, a water droplet cradled in hands. "The insurgents?" I asked. "We prefer resistance," the woman replied, removing her goggles to reveal eyes as determined as Lisa's. "I'm Seren. Your students are safe at our camp, but the boy won't last much longer without treatment." I followed them through the canyon maze, every sense alert for traps. The resistance moved with practiced efficiency, avoiding drone sweeps and leaving minimal traces. They used handheld jammers to create electronic dead zones around us, preventing surveillance. "How long have you been out here?" I asked Seren as we navigated a particularly narrow passage. 3 years, she replied, "since they took my daughter for the first round of progress." "I'm sorry." She glanced back at me. "Don't be. She's with us now. We broke her out during transport. That's what we do, intercept the transports when we can, help the refugees, build our community." "How many of you are there?" "Enough," she said simply, "and more coming every month as the UCA tightens its grip." Their camp was hidden in a massive cave system the entrance concealed by holographic projectors disguised as rock formations. Inside, the rough-hewn tunnels opened into a surprisingly sophisticated complex: hydroponics gardens, water reclamation systems, and a medical facility where I found Jacob on a treatment bed, an oxygen mask covering his face. Lisa sat beside him, exhausted but relieved when she saw me. "You made it." "Thanks to you," I replied, embracing her. "How is he?" "Stabilizing. They have proper medicine here, synthesized from native plants." She lowered her voice. "Mr. Brown, these people, they're families of children taken by progress. They've been fighting the UCA for years." Saren joined us, removing her mask to reveal a face marked with the same red dust that covered us all. "Your students told us what happened. Getting 7 children out from under the UCA's nose is impressive." "Not impressive enough. They found us." "Because of Ray," Lisa interjected bitterly. Saren nodded. "Ray Cunningham has been working both sides for months. He helps us occasionally with supplies, but his family is held in a protected community, essentially UCA hostages." "He didn't have a choice," I realized. "We all have choices," Saren countered. "Some are just harder than others." Over the next days, I learned more about the resistance. They weren't simply fighting the UCA, they were building an alternative. Their hydroponics farms produced food, their engineers had developed sustainable water collection systems, and their school taught children practical skills alongside traditional subjects. Most surprising was their relationship with Nova Aqua, the supposed enemy colony. "We trade with them," Saren explained, showing me their communication center where regular transmissions were exchanged. "They provide water purification technology. We share mining expertise and agricultural innovations." "But the UCA says they're preparing for war," I protested. "The UCA needs an enemy to justify its control," Saren replied. "The truth is, Nova Aqua has offered cooperation for years. It's the UCA that refuses, preferring to maintain power through fear." "We've established contact with similar groups on other colonies," she continued. "The UCA's control is weakening. Their resources are stretched too thin." My students thrived in the resistance camp. Lisa worked alongside the communications team, her technical skills valued and nurtured. Jacob's health improved with proper treatment and filtered air. The others found their places too: Trey in engineering, Emma and Sophia in hydroponics, Adam with security, and Mia in the medical unit. I taught history again, but different lessons now. How cooperation had built Earth's greatest achievements, how resource wars had led to its downfall, how the cycle continued on Novus 4. 1 month into our new life, the proximity alarm sounded. UCA forces had discovered the canyon base, not through tracking us, but through Ray, captured during a supply run, tortured until he broke. "Evacuation protocol," Saren ordered calmly. The resistance moved with practiced efficiency, essential equipment dismantled, records secured, people moving towards secondary exits. "The children go first," I insisted, helping organize the evacuation. As the last transport prepared to depart with my students aboard, Saren approached me. "We need someone to stay behind, trigger the charges after everyone is clear. Delay pursuit." I understood immediately. "I'll do it." Lisa overheard and rushed to my side. "No, come with us." I held her shoulders, meeting her eyes. "Someone has to stay. Get Jacob and the others to safety." "We need you," she pleaded. "You don't, not anymore." I smiled sadly. "You're the leader now, Lisa. You always were." Tears streamed down her face as Saren pulled her toward the transport. The last image I had of my students was Lisa's face in the window, her hand pressed against the glass in farewell. I moved through the abandoned base, setting final charges at structural points. UCA forces would breach the main entrance within minutes. I positioned myself at the detonator control, waiting. Commander Wright entered alone, her uniform dusty, her weapon drawn. "Harry?" "Elena," she surveyed the emptied base. "They're gone." "You're too late." She holstered her weapon, surprising me. "Are they safe, the children?" The question seemed genuine, concern in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Safer than they would be with you," I replied. She nodded slowly. "The Progress Initiative has been modified. Your escape inspired others. Parents on 3 colonies rioted. The UCA had to compromise. What kind of compromise? Limited training, no psychological conditioning. Children return home after 6 months. If they pass your tests, all of them return home, she emphasized. The program was flawed. Some of us have been arguing for reform from within. I studied her face, searching for deception, but finding only exhaustion and something like regret. Come back with me, she offered. Help shape the new program. Your perspective is valuable. Why would I trust you? Because the alternative is dying here when you trigger those charges. She gestured to the detonator in my hand. Your sacrifice won't save them, Harry. The UCA will still pursue the resistance, but your voice might protect future children. A soldier appeared at the entrance. Commander, charges detected throughout the structure. Evacuation recommended. Wright kept her eyes on me. 5 minutes, she ordered, and the soldier withdrew. What happens if I go with you? I asked. Detention, initially. Then, if you cooperate, advisory status on the Reformed Progress Initiative. And if I refuse, then trigger your charges. Bury us both. My finger hovered over the detonator. One press would collapse the entire cave system, burying any evidence of where the resistance might have gone. It would also kill us both. Wright watched me calmly, making no move to stop me. Why are you doing this? I asked. Why risk your life? Because you were right, she admitted quietly. We became what we feared, sacrificing children for security. I was blind to it until I saw you willing to die for your students. She stepped closer. The system needs to change, but martyrs can't change it. Survivors can. I lowered the detonator, decision made. The detention facility in Terra Nova was clean, sterile, and inescapable. My cell contained a bed, a desk, and a window overlooking the mining complex. The constant hum of machinery replaced the howling wind of the canyons. During my first week, I was interrogated daily about the resistance, their numbers, locations, capabilities. I revealed nothing. The interrogators eventually gave up, concluding I knew less than they thought. What they didn't realize was that Saren had given me only compartmentalized information. I knew routes but not destinations, contacts but not names, protocols but not passwords. The resistance operated on a need-to-know basis, protecting itself from precisely this situation. The interrogators tried various approaches: threats, promises, psychological manipulation. They showed me footage of protests in Terra Nova, parents demanding the return of children from progress facilities. They claimed these demonstrations were instigated by the resistance, resulting in civilian casualties. I maintained silence, knowing manipulation when I saw it. But something had changed within the UCA. The brutality I expected never came. No neural conditioning, no physical torture, just questions, increasingly perfunctory, as if my answers mattered less than my presence. 2 weeks passed before Wright visited again. She entered without guards, carrying a tablet. Your students are alive, she said without preamble, showing me footage of the Resistance's new camp, further into the Canyonlands, better hidden. Lisa and Jacob appeared on a screen, both healthy, surrounded by the others. This was intercepted from their communications yesterday. Relief washed through me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Wright sat opposite me. The UCA Council has reviewed your case. They're offering a deal. Help us reform progress and you'll be released under supervision. Why would they listen to me? I'm a traitor. Because your actions expose flaws in the system that can no longer be ignored. Public opinion has shifted. Mining productivity dropped 30% after news of your escape spread. Parents are refusing to send their children to school, fearing selection. I considered her words carefully. What exactly would reform mean? Training focuses on survival skills, colony management, sustainable agriculture, not combat. No separation from families, no psychological conditioning. She paused. And communication channels with the resistance, possibly leading to reconciliation. The UCA would never agree to that last part. Wright's expression remained neutral. The official UCA wouldn't know, but there are those within the government who see the larger picture. Novus Force survival depends on cooperation, not conflict. You're talking about working against your own government. I'm talking about saving our colony. She leaned forward. The water crisis is real, Harry, even if the UCA has manipulated it. Without cooperation between Terra Nova, Nova Aqua, and yes, the resistance, we all die when the aquifers run dry. I thought of Lisa and the others, finding their place in the resistance. What about my students? They stay where they are for now. Safer for everyone. How do I know this isn't a trap? Get me to reveal resistance locations, communication codes? Wright slid the tablet toward me. Because of this. The screen showed a familiar face. Ray Cunningham, bruised but alive, reunited with his family. We released him, Wright explained. Against orders, my team and I. A gesture of good faith. I studied her face, searching for deception. You're risking your career, your life. Yes, no hesitation in her response. Because I believe in what you did, even if I couldn't do it myself. The tablet contained more than just footage. As Wright left, I discovered a hidden message from Seren, embedded in the media file's metadata. Reform from within. We need allies there. The children are safe. Your choice, but no, we support either path. I remained silent, weighing options that all seemed impossible. The transport leaves tomorrow, Wright said, rising. Think about it. That night, I stood at my window, watching the dust storm sweep across Terra Nova. The decision before me wasn't simple. Work within a broken system, hoping to change it, or remain in opposition, fighting from the outside. I thought of Clara, what she would advise. She'd always believed in working from within, making small changes that accumulated over time. Revolution is romantic, she had once said, but reform saves more lives. The tablet Wright had left showed a recorded message from Lisa. She stood in the Resistance's new camp, looking older somehow, more assured. Mr. Brown, she began, if you're seeing this, Commander Wright kept her word. We're safe. Jacob's better. His lungs are actually improving with the treatments here. She glanced over her shoulder, then back to the camera. They're saying you might work with the UCA, help change the progress program. She paused. Here think that's betrayal. I don't. We need people on both sides. Her eyes, so like her brother's, held mine across the digital divide. Do what you think is right. You taught us that's all anyone can do. The message ended. Outside, the dust continued its endless dance across the planet's surface, connecting us all. The miners in their colonies, the resistance in their hideouts, the children caught between. All of us trying to survive on this hostile world we called home. Tomorrow I would decide. Tonight I watched the dust and remembered what I'd told my students about Earth's history. How change rarely came from a single heroic action, but from countless small choices made by ordinary people. Perhaps that was the lesson Novus 4 needed most.